nothing to do with the tragedy, the immorality of a lunatic who executed those dear people in a sacred place of worship was beyond comprehension and represents pure evil for the sake of evil. His acts represent hate as only the devil himself can muster. And I, for one, refuse to be a part of such feelings. But to blame that flag, those monuments, those statues, and even the sacred grounds of our forefathers is in itself insanity. Where will this stop? When will those who love this history, love our genealogy, love our heritage be allowed to proudly proclaim from the mountaintops our love for our country? We do injustice to the black man who served in the Confederacy. We do injustice to the memory of all those who fought on either side by diminishing the historical truth so ingrained in our past. Will the history 100 years from now forget such men as Lee, Jackson, Stewart, and other gallant soldiers? Will men like Chamberlain, Crook, and other Christian generals who wore the blue be diminished and at some time become unpalatable? Will the rising generation know of the legacy of William McLeod, Bryan, Perry, Selina Gray? Will the cross, the very cross on the hallowed tombstones of our dead, be next? When will this insanity end? Friends, let me be clear. An act of Congress presented in 1957, which is Public Law 82, 425, Section 410, and approved on May the 23rd, 1958, made all Army, Confederate, Navy, Confederate, Marines, Confederate veterans have the same and hold the same status as any U.S. veteran. Under Public Law 810, approved by the 17th Congress on February 26, 1929, directed by the War Department to erect tombstones and recognize Confederate grave sites as U.S. war dead burial grounds. Therefore, if we remove a headstone, if we remove a monument, if we remove a statue of any American veteran, in essence, you are removing the headstone monument of a true American. If not, is not the law clear on this in regard to the sanctity of the grave, monuments, and statues? But allow me to share the law of the land from a biblical viewpoint and perspective. Proverbs 22, remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set. That's God's word. Deuteronomy 19:14 tells us, thou shalt not remove thy neighbor's landmark, which they have olden times have set for thine inheritance, which thou shalt inherit in the land that the Lord thy God giveth thee to possess. Listen to the words of King David. Remove not the landmarks. The law of the land, which should be the Bible, is clear. We're here in a lawful assembly, peaceful assembly, asking for reason to prevail regarding the statue of Jefferson Davis. Here are the facts. Jefferson Davis was born on June 3rd, 1808 in the great state of Kentucky, as was another man by the name of Abraham Lincoln. He left Kentucky at a young age, as did Abraham Lincoln. His father was Samuel Davis, a Revolutionary War soldier. He was named for Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers. He attended Transylvania in Lexington, and when he was a senior, he was accepted and admitted into the West Point, and it said it was because of his Greek and Latin skills. He served under Zachary Taylor during the Black Hawk War, and married the future president's daughter. Unfortunately, though, she died of malaria in 1835, and there was a rift between the president and Mr. Davis. But during the Mexican-American War, Jefferson Davis distinguished himself as a hero at the Battle of Buena Vista in 1847. And then General Taylor, who later became president, stated to his former son-in-law, "My daughter, sir, was a better judge of men than I." Jefferson Davis was appointed Secretary of War under President Franklin Pierce. During his tenure, he advocated the federal government to build a transcontinental railroad, supervise expansion of the U.S. Capitol, that we now see so many wonderful monuments displayed, implemented innovations in the military, and supported a purchase from Mexico. He also formed a canvas corps to be used out west, but unfortunately due to the war, it kind of fizzled out. Now when the war between the states came, he was hesitant about succession, and he actively advocated staying in the Union. But as went Mississippi, so did he, and he accepted the position of being the first and only president of the Confederacy. During the war, his second wife, Rena Davis, and he adopted a black child by the name of Jim and raised him with their own children at what is the White House in Richmond, Virginia. He tragically lost one due to a fall, and at the end of the war, he was captured and sent to Fort Monroe, where he spent 2 years, a captive. He repeatedly asked for a trial, but was not granted one. And then on May of 1867, he was released on a $100,000 bail. Guess who paid the bail?